The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, friends, welcome to today's webinar, and we have with us Professor Arun Jamkar. He is the Director Program Postgraduate Research and Development in MIT Group of Medical Colleges, Pune. And as most of us know him since quite some time, he is the ex-Vice Chancellor of Maharashtra University of Health Sciences, Nasik, and very, very active person in the field of medical education, a FAMER fellow, and president of Indian Association of Health University Vice Chancellors, and he is currently consultant in the Persistent Systems Private Limited, and also the Chair National Bioethics Curriculum Implementation in UNESCO Chair of Bioethics, and also he's ex-dean of the BJ Medical College Pune and ex-professor of surgery at BJ Medical College, and he has really risen from a very simple backgrounds, from a son of a primary teacher born at Nandej village. He has rose in life to a vice chancellor, and I mean a beacon for all of us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sanjay. Am I audible everywhere?
Yes, sir. Dr. Amrit.
Today, I'm going to talk on self-directed learning, rather how to improve SDL through technology. I think all are requested to mute. Now, this whole history and journey of SDL I've been doing through technology. So preparation of this lecture itself was a self-directed learning. At outset, I must thank Dr. Sanjay Bedi and Dr. Rege for inviting me to give this lecture. Incidentally, my wife, Dr. Maya Jamkar, who is professor of anesthesia at BJ Medical College, was supposed to give this lecture on foundation course. And then we were discussing about whether problem-based learning, which was my curriculum research project for FAMER Philadelphia Fellowship, could be SDL. And then we discussed. And then I realized by going through that it is reasonably incomplete, and we need to have much more knowledge of SDL because it's a fantastic learning process. And I must compliment the whole MEU group that this question I put to MEU group, and then I was flooded with the response. I must mention two professors, Dr. Hitesh Vyas and from Dr. Madhuram, who created very nice PowerPoint with all information. In addition, my original PowerPoint was created by my wife.
And Annette also.
And there was some contribution by Annette. So, in fact, this is the first victory of MEU group, that whole of us, we create a knowledge for partners without bothering for the authorship or the rights. And this is, I think, the fantastic thing to happen. And MEU group has such a large audience, and it is so mature that anytime you have any difficulty anywhere, you put a question and you are flooded with the answer. So hats up to MEU group. So this is an MEU group presentation.
की पहली सर्विस शिक्षक की ज्वाइन की।
This is my video.
पहुंचा, पहला ही दिन था, पहली कक्षा पढ़ाना था, सामने बच्चे बैठे थे, हिंदी पढ़ाना था, दो शब्द ब्लैक बोर्ड पर लिखे, ऊपर लिखा सत्य, नीचे लिखा भ्रम, मैंने कहा कोई बच्चा खड़े हो और सत्य भ्रम में अंतर बताओ। ये 90 चैनल देखने वाली पीढ़ी ने मुझे पहले ही दिन निपटाया। एक बच्चा खड़ा हुआ, बोला सर आप पढ़ा रहे हैं ये बिल्कुल सत्य है, हम पढ़ रहे हैं आपका भ्रम है।
Actually, this is a very famous video of Ihsan Qureshi, and I've been using for a long time. I think first time I used for my fall presentation of problem-based learning. The problem-based learning was my famous Philadelphia curriculum research project, where we did a big work, and subsequently I published, I presented everywhere. And this whole philosophy of medical education started from there. Now this is an enigma. All the time we think that students learn and we teach. In fact, they don't learn at all. Because we tend to believe that our undergraduate students are still our kids. And we forget that they are adults, and I did not go into detail, but then we must understand that adult learning is entirely different. Adults learn when it needs to be used. They learn only when it is relevant. As a kid, we always were taught in geography, where does it rain in Argentina and what grows in Winnipeg, and when were all these wars of Panipat. We never ask why you are teaching. I'm not going to be in Argentina anytime. Now suddenly in anatomy, you start teaching them parotid, and with all those shapes and sizes and all that sides, and they say, why you are teaching me parotid? So whole philosophy is changing, because adults want to solve problems, to learn concepts. They learn at their own space, because in a class of 150, if you want all of them, then they won't. There was one class going on where they were teaching Krebs cycle, and it was a fantastic lecture where how the oxygen molecule travels from one cycle to other cycle. Fantastic. Everybody was stunned. At the end, one guy from the back benches only said, so what? So this is whole concept that they want to find out how it is relevant. They need to set their own learning objectives. Most often, somebody comes late, somebody doesn't pay attention, somebody might be sleeping because you are talking nonsense, and then you tease them. And next time the student doesn't come because we want to preserve their self-esteem. And there are different ideas. We have traveled in teaching for a long time. All of us learned through books. We read, we went to library, we took notes, and all that thing was coming as a knowledge from our teacher. And our teacher believed that he's a tank of knowledge and he's pumping knowledge in our brain. And the whole thing changed. Well, now we have a digital world where everything is available as a soft copy with Google and all those sites. Students just Google it. And then in case we are not talking up to date, they won't listen. Not only that, from next time they won't come. So now your philosophy as a teacher needs to change. That if it's a digital world, you need to find out, go yourself on Google, what the Google says. And because one of the things the teacher can facilitate learning by telling, "Arey bhai, ye to kaam ka nahi hai," because there is a lot of nonsense and nuisance and the noise. So the digital world, we need to modify the teaching. And then we thought the psychomotor skills can't be taught. And the video world came. And then we have flooded with all those video sites, YouTube, Khan Academy, web search, 3G. And then everything is available. So much so the YouTube is so wide that you can ask anything, how to put a rice stew or how to cook a cookery. So I think that whole philosophy of a psychomotor skills is changing. Even if you want to change the battery of your mobile. So these whole things, psychomotor skills are available through all these video world. So I want to suggest that we as a teacher, we need to change our whole attitude. Earlier, we were in industry model, teaching 150 to 200 students, giving them same lecture for years together, and then we are waiting for them to become doctors. Now we need to collaborate. We need to find out what they want. We need to find out how they learn. We need to find out how can we add in existing knowledge that they have. And here, whole thing is IT has changed so much that we need to change the role as a facilitator and give justice to the process. Same time, irrespective of all that, students want to attend your lectures because there is still charisma and charm of teaching. Whole philosophy of knowledge is changing. Information about where the knowledge is available is now half of the knowledge, because we don't want to go into mugging system of recall. And I think the whole area is traveling from information, knowledge, wisdom, insight. Information is meaningful data, which could be small, and knowledge is finding out where the information is. And once you mature your enough, start understanding and applying knowledge, then that is wisdom. And insight of the awareness of underlying essence of truth is insight. So I think the whole philosophy is so changing fast that we need to accept. We can't be just in the state that we are a tank of knowledge and we're pumping it to you. So if you put this whole philosophy of in a what is called as DIKUW in the Miller's model, I think same thing is happening from data to wisdom, and information is the main source. And even in the clinical decision making, data, information, knowledge, wisdom, and decision. So the data, whatever you have, is all images, maybe knowledge having their clinical cases, and how to use for decision making. So that is what is required. So with this background, I just want to put whole idea that unless the student himself wants to do something, unless he just wants to learn himself, it won't happen. So at this background, we are what is called as an SDL, self-directed learning. We'll have a definition, history, stages, why there is SDL in medical college, and then how the use of technology, because I'm not going to just give examples of technology. Our teacher of an SDL, a class 6 student, is Ekalavya, who didn't know, and then the Dronacharya didn't want to teach him, but then he put the statue of Dronacharya and learned, and he was better than Arjun. So I think in archery, and that's why I think he is the one who is our hero, icon of SDL. Malcolm novels in 1975 was one to introduce. It's a process in which individual takes initiative with or without the help of others in diagnosing their own learning needs. The student has to diagnose to find out what he needs, and then he needs to set up goals, identify human and material resources. So identification of resources, learning, choosing, implementing, whole thing comes. This is how the Malcolm novels defined SDL, and Gibbons said same thing in another few language, and I think both of them need to be given credit. Now SDL starts from first year because there is no curriculum for the guy. He learns how to learn, and that's why it goes up. So we just want to find out the processes in which SDL is required. So we have planning, implementation, evaluating a learning project, and then learner should choose what he learned and how to learn, and decides when to continue and when to end. So I'm just going to have some videos of identifying whole thing. This is a small video.
Self-directed learning involves 5 steps. Set goals, create a plan, monitor learning, seek help when needed, and reflect on process. Step 1 is setting goals. A student might set 2 types of goals, short-term goals and long-term goals. Short-term goals can be accomplished in the near future, such as doing well on an upcoming quiz. Short-term goals are often easy to plan for because people have a clear idea about how to accomplish them. Long-term goals take more time to accomplish, like getting into college or getting an A in your honors course. Long-term goals can be difficult to plan for because there might be a lot of steps needed to accomplish them. However, setting short-term goals can help an individual get closer to achieving their long-term goals. For example, students whose long-term goal is to attend college might set several short-term goals for themselves, such as passing all of their exams and getting involved in extracurricular activities a couple of hours every week. Step 2 is to create a plan for accomplishing the goal. Things to consider when generating a plan are timing, when will I study and how long will I study for, material, what do I need to learn, and using effective learning strategies, how will I study. Step 3 is to monitor your learning. Monitoring your learning is about checking your knowledge. What do and don't you understand? Self-monitoring is an important skill for assessing your progress towards your goal as you study. You can monitor your learning by asking yourself questions like, what do I understand? Can I answer practice problems without referring to my notes? Can I explain the concept to someone else? Can someone else understand what I'm trying to communicate in my writing? Is there anything that is confusing or unclear? The responses for the previous questions lead to step 4, seek help when needed. If you do not understand the material after trying to learn it on your own, it is best to seek help from a friend, a tutor, or a teacher. Finally, step 5 is to reflect on the learning process. After everything is done, consider whether you accomplished your goal and look back on the plan you created and carried out. Asking yourself questions like the following can help you identify the strengths and weaknesses of your approach in order to improve for next time. Did you accomplish your goal? Was your plan effective in helping to accomplish the goal? What elements of your plan would you keep or change for the next time that you have a similar goal? Remember, you can use reflection for any learning experiences, whether it be an exam, completing a lab report, driving for the first time, or anything else.
I think these are the steps, and therefore a student need to understand all these steps to set up a learning goal, to assess readiness to learn, to engage in learning process, and to evaluate learning. Now, so here we could put in to find out whether they are learning. It goes to say that everybody is not at the same stage, because student goes and travels from a dependent learning to the self-directed learning. So when it is dependent, you require to give an authority and coach. So like a baby, he's dependent and entirely everything is on you. So coach with immediate feedback and lectures. So lectures become dependent. Then interested. So the teacher is changing role to motivator and guide, and there are inspiring lecture, guided discussions, and then involved. He's getting more involved in the whole of his work. Now you need to be facilitator, and therefore our seminars, group discussions, projects, they come in there, say involved. And the last one is a self-directed, where the teacher is the consultant, and then dissertation, internship, self-directed study group. So I think every student travels and becomes a self-directed learner. So how this to happen, this is another small video to find out how student is traveling from a dependent to self-directed.
How to measure progress. Of course, in order to assess progress, one needs to know what is self-directed learning, why it is important, and we'd also need to understand.
So your slide is
yeah.
Your slide has not changed. I mean, it's still yes.
Next video.
Yes. You start from beginning. Yes.
Why it is important, and we'd also need to understand the different levels associated with lifelong learning. Crow in 1991 enumerated 4 specific levels. First, stage 1, the dependent learner. In this stage, our learner leans heavily on the instructor. There is no self-direction or even hint of understanding that there might be more than dependency to learning. This learner is going to assimilate specific details, memorize, and even complete identified tasks. The learner is entirely dependent upon the teacher. In the second stage, the interested learner is beginning to realize that there may be something more to learning. They may not be able to really be directed all of the time, and they can seek out opportunities as well as resources to learn. This learner may be recognized by setting their personal learning goals and even recognize the need to start looking at where they want to be rather than checking items off of a predetermined task list. This learner is starting to build some self-confidence in their abilities and their skills. The educator can best help this student by showing enthusiasm for learning and motivation. The stage 3 learner, the involved learner, is in the immediate stage of self-directed learning. They are recognizing the ability to really participate and to learn by themselves. They like to participate in group activities and learn from other people. This type of learner is making some learning goals and creating a method to achieve these goals. The teacher has moved from the role of an educator to the less involved role of a guide. In our last stage, the self-directed learner is at the pinnacle of all the levels. This learner not only sets their own learning goals, but has already determined how to assess their goals. This learner can cultivate their desires and knows how to pursue them. They are able to determine the validity and reliability of acquired information. They also create their direction for learning. In this level, the teachers appear for a learning consultant. In Grow's wonderful stages and in the chart, you can see all of the different levels of the student.
So if you evaluate how much students understand, the lecture 5%, when they read 10%, audiovisual 20%, and then they practice by doing, it is 75%. In fact, the peer group learning, or when you start teaching to your students or maybe as a resident, you learn maximum. So I think this is the one thing we need to understand. Now, why you require SDL in medical college? Because medical schools have a moral obligation, because whatever we learned is already old. By the time you start practicing, the knowledge that medical students acquire at school may become obsolete when they join medical practice. Now, I hope everybody knows our years, we are all doing open surgery, and suddenly there was laparoscopic surgery. Therefore, we need to learn ourselves for the laparoscopic surgery. And then all those protocols are changing. So we need to have new protocols, otherwise the patients will not come. So I think in medical education, we all require to have self-directed learning, because the change has occurred and it will be unfair or unjust on the part of a doctor not to utilize latest technology and latest protocol, which you need to learn, otherwise you can't practice. So there are several advantages. There is heightened curiosity. We have, say, enhanced critical reasoning skill. We have better retention. So that all things can happen with SDL. So, but the role is changing as a teacher. The teacher has to become facilitator, motivator, so designer of learning situation, and then of course he has to learn with the student, co-learn. So there are various programs available, and therefore I'm going to just present a problem-based learning as one of the method of SDL. So now there are several skills are available which need to be evaluated, because the goal setting skills, processing skills, decision making skills, and self-awareness and content competence. So now last time I took this course for say foundation course. So at the end of this, I asked the student that how will you plan to learn stomach and duodenum, because they are all past 12th, they know a lot of biology, and therefore they know everything. So I just give them a exercise to find out how will they learn. Now basically whether they have learned or evaluating a self-directed learning is one thing, because otherwise we will be dealing with a student, we will be immaturely going out. So once we leave it to them, we need to find out whether they are learned. I think I'm just introducing an entirely new thing called concept maps as an expression of self-directed learning. In a concept map, there's one nucleus, and you need to identify and branch and rebranch, and therefore it gives you an hierarchical situations and come to the say conclusion. So there are various concept maps available. These are the for now this is for the chest pain. The clinical reasoning given for the chest pain. So after the topic is taught, we need to give them one topic and therefore and ask them to create a concept map. Now on my problem-based learning say curriculum research project, both the batches, the say study group as well as control group, where they were one topic for concept match. Now the one student was given the carcinoma tongue and management, and therefore he evaluated everything detailed to find out what are various options, why sides, how to the present, and how the management is there. And then this is about another thing of a pain in abdomen, a peptic ulcer. So I think once we give them one topic or maybe one problem, they should be asked to create a concept map, and they should be given maybe 1 week period. Now then they come, and we need to evaluate the self-directed learning by what is called as an OVAX method, where the concept links, cross links, hierarchy, examples, this everything is available on net. And in fact, I had presented one lecture on my 2005 FAMER Philadelphia protocol, where I talk of a concept map. And therefore, these maps could be there. And then I think we need to go ahead and find out all these links and then evaluate. And then we evaluated both the study group, control group, and it was one of the very valid dogmatic method to find out whether the student have attended and say self-directed learning. In both the things, they were not statistically significant, but then there was at least geometric mean was better. Now at this juncture, I want to introduce a problem-based learning, because problem-based learning is not entirely self-directed learning, but then it is closer to self-directed learning. And I think in stage 3 of SDL, PBL could be there. So I hope everybody knows, because we had several projects of problem-based learning in say FAMER research fellowships, regional FAMERs. Now it has a problem, a tutorial group, a learning objective. I just want to briefly go how we do, and then examples, because people could start from paper-based clinical scenarios, experimental clinical scenarios, photographs, everything can trigger. Now my project was published in Indian Journal of Surgery, and I can put to the MEU group my article. And we need to utilize all our large patients in say teaching hospitals. So now in my class, the last time I demonstrated PBL group. So I got 6 students. So ask them, introduce them the concept. They chose their rotary role. They made chair, scribe, presenter, and then the whole group dynamics was there. And then what I did was I asked the class of 150 to divide themselves in 6 groups, and the learning issues for each of the student was given to one group, and then they were given the answers, because I wanted them to Google and after half an hour have the answer. So the generic skills or teamwork, listening, recording, the whole thing can be done. And a classical tutorial where everything is directed to a lecturer is directed to each other. So it's entirely student-centric, and I think it's one of the closer form of SDL. So faculty needs to be trained because the familiarity with the whole process is there, and maybe there is increased workload because it's small group teaching. Students, they take their responsibility of own learning. The training of people, they require some small group dynamics, because today's world, everybody is competing with each other. They need to collaborate. I think that one thing has to be there. So they start from the basic thing, is that what they don't know, and that's how you start. There are various claim advantages. It gives lifelong learning skills, best method of interactive learning. Students use deep learning approach, improvement in general problem solving skills. They enjoy. It's fun. They are better presentation skill because at the end they need to present everything again. There's resource utilization, increased retention of knowledge, motivation, meaningful learning. I think these are whole processes available, and some of them could be parallel with a self-directed learning. So case is given, they want to identify problem, they should identify what they don't know, generate rank hypothesis, explain mechanisms, ask questions, identify by brainstorming with each other and give a plan. So we were doing all these in actual cases because tutors were asked to take direct cases, and acute cases are better because when the patient comes, we have some knowledge available. Therefore, they start brainstorming. By the time they complete the brainstorming and identify the answers, they have some additional information available, and therefore an acute case are the hierarchically like a case-based learning. And the only thing was we need to teach them say clinical findings. So, and then I think this is a whole process because whole thing depend upon to find out what is the level of ignorance, and that's how they what's called learning issues, and then they divide. I think this is the process: read the problem, brainstorm, identify learning issues, research, divide, return back, and then they present to each other. Both the processes, the faculty has to be there because he is a collaborator or maybe facilitator. Because sometimes when they go entirely to the book, they talk reasonably bookish, and so the faculty need to give what is called as a form opinion. So we are traveling from a teacher-directed lessons to a self-directed learning. I think the PBL is one of them. So self-directed learning, we need to take ownership of learning, extension of own learning, management and monitoring of own learning, and this whole concept of self-directed learning can be done with the PBL. SDL in addition teaches you the time management, cost of traditional learning, transportation because most of the thing could be done by telemedicine, learner's own learning style. So only thing that is coming now is in technology. I think technology can help to give whole platform. So we have slide shares, the learning management system, open education resources, social networks, Facebook, Google Groups, Skype. So we are flooded with technology for SDL. Now what is required is we need to find out all these say web-based resources, how they help. So we need to classify them. How many of them would help in remembering? How many of them would help in understanding? How many of them will help in applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating? I think all these say web resources are all available, and the teacher's role is to direct them about which one is useful for you. So the teacher is a role model. He should know all available technology. He should incorporate old and new, provide an authentic environment. What is required is authenticity, and provide feedback. And then in the whole process, we need to understand that we have to be autonomous. We should not go back again and start dictating. So the teaching with SDL, there's a lot of impact, and I think impact is going up. And whole philosophy is now changing. Now I just enumerated all those processes of simple from texting, from collaborating in the same say Bloom's taxonomy: remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating. The texting is just remembering, understanding. Whereas chatting, you are applying it. Still, say I think we need to translate whole thing together. So I'm just trying to show a video which shows how the technology is coming everywhere. And I think as a teacher, as a student, we need to find out what kind of technology we have and then utilize it, because we are living in exponential times. I think I just wanted to show you the explosion of the technology, and we need to use all that technology for SDL e-learning. So whenever you're delivering learning, training, education program by electronic means, which involve the use of computer, any of the electronic device, web and everything, it is e-learning. And then e-learning goes up, down, and then we have what is called as synchronous learning or asynchronous learning. So as a teacher, we should initially do a synchronous learning, because it's a virtual creation of classrooms where the student can do partly and then he can go home and then learn and then come back. And therefore, this could be a synchronous learning, because student and teacher both are at the real time, same time. Whereas asynchronous, everything is recorded. He can do at the self pace. You can have recorded say lectures, videotape classes, so presentations, and the whole thing can be is access available every time. So we have all tools available: email, audio chats, online forum, and then all digital tools, number of them. The browsers are available, the online curators, Google search tools. Beyond search tools are plenty from Google, Yahoo, Bing, and then we have everything is available. I think we are explored to a big digital toolkit. So start from, you can use email, because now what I do now is, suppose I'm teaching, I send my notes to everybody by Google Group, by email, and then I don't want them to say take notes, so that they learn and they only ask questions. Now sometimes the Google Group, everything can be there, and then I want them to load the pictures. So I created my own website. I put all my notes on the website, arunzampal.com, and then student download. So I think the emails could be better used for all the teaching processes. Now you can use blogs, web resources, then say video conferences. The whole thing is available. So we have series of them. I think Sanjay has given so much of say explosion of all these technology available that I did not go, but just want to find out that you could just go to website and find out. Now the phones have become very smart, and with Geo they have become, the internet becomes so popular. So Google Glasses can help you. The blogs, because it's a discussion group. Now this is one of my blog on say where I put all my notes. WhatsApp, because WhatsApp sends, you can send images, everything. I think there is a lot of things available. Now then we need to shift to flipped classrooms, where the classroom, the lecture components are already shown to them, and then the student come and watch. So the traditional classroom, we are just giving them standard instructions, where the flipped classroom, they learn before and then come back, and then the learning becomes more perfect. So Medical Council of India just wanted all of them to happen. I think a lot of good changes are happening in MCI and now BOG and now in National Medical Commission. So in fact, as a member of Dr. Rai Chaudhary committee, we suggested that we should get away with all microscopes. Every department should have a 50 computer, say, what do you call a computer station, where everything can be taught. It could be connected to internet, it can give histopathology, it can give images, it can give operative surgery, it can give everything. And therefore, the learning can become more and more rich. So, learning management systems are available, something like Moodle, then Tyro. Now, I am a surgeon, the web search is almost a web university, where everything is available, beautiful animations, surgeries. You just want suppose laparoscopy, adrenaline, there might be 15-20 videos with animations. I think it's one of the best thing. So it's almost a virtual university. And then our live. So I'm trying to impress upon you that with the technology, the whole scope of learning had changed. First time in history of civilization, everybody has same equal right to learn because the resources are so much. I think first time learning has indeed become democratic. There is a total dissolution of time because you can do at your own pace whenever you want. There is a dissolution of distance. A student from US can learn, a student from say India can learn on US sites, and therefore there is whole dissolution of time, dissolution of distance, and the whole thing is changing and becoming a collaborative learning. I think SDL is one of the best way to go towards a collaborative learning. So as I told, independent of time and geography, and we are shifting from what is called as the mass production to mass customization. Initially, we were just teaching 150 students, same thing again and again, without bothering what happens. And now every student can learn more. So I think there are more role to play for electives, more role to play about what they exactly want. So definition of intelligence is changing. Intelligence is no longer memory. It is adapted to change. So as a teacher, we need to adapt. And I think whole process of technology and say accepting SDL, the learning has become personal. The searching, browsing, use of computer power, information resources, services. So I think the technology has become a boon. Earlier, we are just giving what is called as course content exchange. So MCI gives a course, MHS gives a course, and everything is taught. And then we are happy with whatever course content has gone from the teacher side to the student side. Now with SDL, we need to go ahead. With the PBL, we want to collaborate. So we are what is called as a course content collaboration. But now we have to go beyond. And I think technology and SDL, from the course content, we go to course content innovation. And once we innovate in all these areas, we'll be creating knowledge, creating more information, and we'll be creating an intellectual capital. And a nation becomes big only because of knowledge. So with this, I think we need to understand whole scope of technology. I think technology has become very mature and it will be unfair not to use. And I think SDL is one of the very nice platform for using technology to make it perfect. So I think we just summarize: eliminate geographic constraint, reduces travel cost, option to select relevant material that meets the level of knowledge, study wherever they have access to computer and internet. These are all advantages of e-learning. In addition, it gives a self-paced learning at own pace. It is not a cup of web page, it's a complex learning environment. And in a professional LMS system is required and need motivated students, and you require a lot of optimism. So SDL requires motivation. Teacher needs to become facilitator. Technology, as we rightly said, has helped SDL, and we need to use a judicious use of e-learning. So from data to the wisdom, data, information, knowledge. Now this is a new paradigm that with all that data available, all the information available, we know where the knowledge is, we know where the skills are. With the SDL, we want to find out how the wisdom can be there. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jamkar. Now it is time for an interactive session. Dr. Happy Modi says, is self-directed learning 100% accurate?
Actually, we need to monitor about the accuracy. That's why where the role of teacher is coming. Now, once you go to all these websites, you need to find out because there is no. And I think today at least, we need to have stage 3 of SDL, where all knowledge that is gained through the SDL need to be monitored by a teacher. But at the same time, he need to be facilitated, and he should not call it a mistake. So we need to change our whole language, because you are facilitating. You need to politely say, no, this is not that way. This clinically it is different. I think that accuracy will subsequently come when the student becomes mature. Now today, suppose I am learning on laparoscopic surgery, a new method. I obtain maturity because I am already using SD.
Okay, Dr. Archana Belwadi Jagdish. Please speak. Hello? Dr. Manjinder Kaur, can you unmute yourself? Dr. Archana, we can't hear you. You can write on the chat.
Let them text.
Yes, you can. On the side there is a chat button also. You can write there. Chinmay Shah, please you.
Sir, good evening.
Yeah, good
Am I
evening.
audible?
Yeah.
Sir, what are the best method to test SDL at the end of session if you want to do assessment?
Actually, we as the professors, there is a lot of scope for areas to explore. I took PBL as SDL, but believe me, in spite of all those literature surveys, nobody is talking about exact methods. The best way to do is try to find out how best you can do, and then assessment will be done. But I think, to me today, I think best way is feedback.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And
you, sir.
evaluation with the concept maps.
Okay,
I
so
can share my paper presentation on concept map on the MEU group.
sure, sir. Sure. Thank you.
But then that area, believe me, is still open. What is your idea?
Yeah, I was just thinking that first, as you said, sir, that concept map. So we can just go through it and analyze it how properly or correctly concept map has been created. Or before that, I think faculty should have, as like in exam assessment, we have a blueprint in the form of answer sheet. We can have a blueprint of concept map. 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever different varieties of concept maps is possible, should be there with as the resource material with the faculty, and then it will be easier for them to assess by comparing a concept map.
Yeah, but then if you give same topic to everybody, the problem is they may copy each other. So
Yeah,
I go separate copy to everybody, separate problems to everybody.
Okay,
so
okay,
it takes a lot of time to examine, evaluate. At
Yes,
the same
for
time,
example,
best way is to put them some questions. Suppose somebody is a jaundice, and then how will you go to evaluate which type of jaundice it is?
Okay.
And that SDL program would be there to help. So they may not have concept map, but at least they should come with all that knowledge. And what I advise them is best way is to have one patient in ward on which you have SDL. So that he goes, examines that patient, comes with the new problems, solves itself, and they puts in that concept map. That is clinical teaching is very easy for SDL.
Okay, sir. Yes, we can do that, sir.
Okay,
I
Dr.
think it's an open ground. Well, all my professors, I want to share. They should share what they have been doing.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Manjinder Kaur has written, what is the best way to implement self-directed learning in first MBBS, as MCI wants us to include SDL in daily timetable?
I think the best way would be give them those topics, let them plan, because as I said, the batch I gave them that now you have some knowledge about stomach and duodenum. So plan what you want, how you learn of stomach and duodenum as regard anatomy is concerned, physiology is concerned. Actually, I just forgot. I can show you wait a minute. Now this was my PBL. It was a case of a gastrointestinal system where the case was taken in such a way that they know partially, and it was written in a what we call the colloquial language, and it was written so that it was done in such a way that whatever they learned, they could be extrapolated. I hope are you able to read?
Yes.
So Jayaraman, 6-year-old peon, opened his eyes to find himself in hospital and saw a bag of blood which was running on his arm. So the chairman would ask, what is the bag of blood? Why it is running? So then whole question went on blood bank, what is blood transfusion? How do you give blood transfusion? And then I think if you go like this, the whole procedure, it went slowly and developed into an entirely management of a bleeding peptic ulcer. So we need to develop on similar grounds. So this was the first MBBS now, because this whole thing we teach them now. And then as I said, at the end I said, he said there's a lot of stress. So how the stress can cause acidity. Therefore they will talk of gastric phase, say neuronal phase, intestinal phase. So we need to work hard towards creating those questions. And anyway, MCI wants an early clinical exposure. So maybe show them a patient and then do it so that it becomes more relevant. And being an adult, they will learn better.
Okay. Dr. Nirmala Rege.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I just miss it was a nice lecture. Miss teacher's role has been changed and more expanded, and so also the responsibilities on the teacher. So from the curriculum, we have to map topics for the self-directed learning, because it will take more time for the self-directed learning. They may learn, but a lot of time has to be given, even for the PBL you are saying. So then in that case, it may be applicable to the certain topic. Means teachers have to find out those topics, and then those topics should be taught in a self-directed learning manner. Not entire this thing.
There will be some overlap everywhere. So let us say now that stomach and duodenum, you go down, then discuss about pharmacotherapy. And the same thing will go down and discuss about surgery. So there will be some overlap, and what are the blind spots which are not covered, the SDL will help because they will find out what is not covered.
Okay. Yeah.
And madam, now I finished my MBBS in 1973. Whatever I learned, there is nothing say valid today. So everything we are learned on our own. I think we need to give them same direction. That what you are learning is relevant by the time you practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
That's why we are lifelong. That's why we say we are lifelong learners.
Bhupender Jain. Dr. Bhupender Jain. Dr. Bhupender, we can't hear you. Can you
let him text?
You can write on the chat. Rekha Kumari.
In addition, all over that Google group, they can put questions.
Yes.
Because at the end, the aim of my lecture was all the professors across the country should be able to use SDL by collaborative process. There is nobody knows better, nobody knows less. And as I confessed in the beginning, this whole thing is an MEU cream.
Yes. There is can the students cope with SDL from first year itself when basic knowledge may not be sufficient? Should it be introduced in phased manner?
Can you come again?
Can the students cope with SDL from first year itself when basic knowledge may not be sufficient? Should it be introduced in phased manner? By Dr. Anirudhan Nambi.
No, that's why we are showing the stages of it. So at least in first MBBS, they should go down and we find out. And at least they should be helped. If you find out the stage, the first MBBS, they should be stage 2. And we don't know because we had been dealing with the students. But I think 12th standard and 10, 11th standard, there's a lot of biology. And they know far more biology than what we were knowing in our days.
Yes. Dr. Richa Thaman. Dr. Richa, can you unmute yourself?
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for this enlightened talk, and I think it's the need of the hour because I'm not only talking about the students, I'm also talking about the faculty. They also have a lot of questions about what SDL is and how they are going to apply it for the students. I just have one question, that when we talk about the assessment, I think we talk about here formative assessment for SDL, because if we do not assess the students, we'll not be knowing whether they are really, having doing the self-directed learning. And so you talked about the concept maps and assessment by Novick's method. And you've already been talking about collaborative learning. Are there some other methods which you have used or we can use, which are easier to use in a short period of time with so many students, or maybe some peer-peer evaluation for collaborative learning? This I wanted to ask.
No. Obviously, the other thing is peer-to-peer learning, but then it's almost same like a collaborative learning. There are other various methods available. We need to do a literature survey because I didn't have any first-hand experience of rest of it. So as a professor, it's open for us. And I want you to find out what worked, what you found out, and then put it to the group.
Yeah, sir, I think many of us must have done the peer evaluation, and I'll just try to find how relevant it is in Indian scenario. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Swapnil Parikar, how can feedback be given to students at the end of SDL? Can peer feedback be used after giving the answers to students?
I think there is a very appropriate protocol of giving feedback. So it should be sandwich, and I think it's entirely new nice discussion can be given with feedback. But while the student is given feedback, we need to understand that he is an adult learner, and we need to follow like an 1 minute receptor, that we should give positive things first, and then give critical analysis of what is missing, and give them resources of how to overcome that missing knowledge.
Okay. Dr. Avinash Supe.
Hello. I think it was Arun, very interesting. Enjoyed the talk. I think there are 3 points I would like to make. One is self-directed learning is a wide conundrum spectrum. I mean, it is from just simply you are talking on the round and tell your resident that go and get these things done, till using a high level of technology where you are asking them to do projects and he's doing on his own. It's a concept which is used as part of or on its own. It's a kind of thing which is used in any technology. Like you gave example of PBL, there could be many other LMS and all where the SDL is used as a part. But what is important of SDL is that student travels on its own, and you rightly said on the 4 kind of levels he continues to do that. And second point I want to make is the student, don't underestimate first year students. I think many of them have undergone these kind of technologies before. Many of the new educational systems have lot of projects and self-directed learning in their schools. In fact, in our own college, last 15 or 20 years, we have a very nice seminars which are conducted on clinical cases by anatomy students, and which is worth really listening, that there are about 16 or 20 batches go to clinicians, take a case, and then they correlate anatomy with those clinical cases. And it's wonderfully to see how students read, how they go and do research. And I think we have to just give them time, and you have to change your control from a teacher trying to control everything to be a facilitator and allow students to grow at their own pace. And the third point which I want to make is that one thing which did not come out, the assessment. Now, assessment is usually the first thing is something like you develop a framework where you want to really go. And then first thing what you do is a self-assessment. I think self-assessment is very important in SDL, because the student should know where he is going, because that is something which will help him to really go, because that will improve his motivation. The peers and teachers will definitely assess them and they will give him feedback. But the self-assessment, he wants to know where he is and where he wants to go, is one of the most important component of the self-directed learning. And I'm sure there are many other scales which are there, rating for self-rating scales. If you look at DEME review, all of you should read that DEME review, Best Evidence in Medical Education. They have used SDL. Of course, there is a little evidence for any educational principles are little weak. But here they have said that these are the kind of techniques which definitely make students learn better. Of course, there is a need for more studies. But when you talk about assessment, what you need to have a complete canvas of framework and self-assessment, peer assessment, rating scales, and of course, then teachers do a final assessment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Avinash.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Pratik Tarvadi, use of checklist to as SDL, is it possible during discussions?
Yeah, obvious, of course.
Yes,
but then
of
you
course.
Need to check this first.
Priya Prabhu.
I want to carry the point which Avinash said, that don't underestimate your first MBA student. Now this batch, I was teaching them PowerPoint as a part of a computer, and believe me, everybody knew everything in PowerPoint. So what I did, instead of talking them about how to do a PowerPoint presentation, I had one say 70 question MCQ, where almost 80% of those MCQ about PowerPoint were answered by the students. And they just wanted to know how to do animations and how to put videos. But I think remaining thing, including shortcuts, they knew. I think they are well versed with technology. We don't underestimate them.
Dr. Jonathan Arnold, please unmute yourself. Then Dr. Premnath Kotur, what is the different methods of enhancing SDL in students?
I think that's what we discussed.
Yes. Dr. Rose, thank you for a very informative session. As you said, to assist SDL, students need a laptop, Wi-Fi facility. Only then we can dissolve time and distance. We have to provide students with materials prior to coming to PBL session. Am I right?
I think now smartphones are available. The Redmi's and MEUINDIA's, and they are so cheap. And the Jio 399 rupees for 3 months. They are giving you 1.5 to 2 GB per day. I think this is fortune for students.
Yes.
So instead, they look for some movies or something. I think they need to be judiciously using. I think the internet and say smartphones were never as cheap as now.
Yes, sir.
And obviously, in case even the laptops have become very cheap.
Yes, sir.
I hope everybody knows Mac has Apple has introduced a scheme for giving Mac at very cheap rates to students. And India, we don't throw anything away. The second-hand laptops would be available at 10,000 rupees.
Yes, sir. Dr. Shivani Shimar, I too believe in SDL, but students might have apprehensions and insecurities regarding missing out something in learning. Secondly, our assessment methods need drastic change to evaluate students.
No, we are not shifting entirely. At the end, there will be formative exam, and that is say summative exam. Everything, we are not changing anything. And as rightly said, the SDL has built in what you call as a self-assessment, because at the end, you require to be honest. You can deceive everybody except yourself. So the role of a teacher is to get away from the apprehension. The role of the teacher is to help him. The role of the teacher is to find out that you are going right. There might be some mistake somewhere, but then obviously everybody makes mistakes. So I think a teacher has far more role, and he's almost playing a what you call as a personal role in his life, because at the end he becomes a lifelong learner, and if you play well, he will remember you all his life.
Dr. Nitin Kothari, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Hello. Good evening, sir. First of all, I want to thank you for a nice lecture. And I want to drag your attention towards potential challenges for self-directed learning, and I want reply from your side for these challenges. First of all, the first challenge is the concept of self-directed learning is basically taken from Western countries. But what is the difference between the Western countries and the Indian scenario? That in Western countries, students enter in the medical college after doing their graduation. They are more mature than their Indian counterparts. So they are more mature and they are more receptive for self-directed learning. While it is absent, that is deficient in Indian scenarios. So Indian students are not so much receptive for self-directed learning, and this SDL is also not properly handled in schools also. This is the first concern for SDL learning. Second, I want to draw your attention is to conduct a SDL session as you taught, as you said, in a batch should contain 6 to 8 students. And how is it possible in Indian scenario where faculty is short? If you take my example of my college, to handle the 150 students, we have only 4 or 5 faculty. So the 4 or 5 faculty will have to handle 150 students. So one faculty will take care of around 50 to 60 students. So SDL, to conduct a session in SDL is practically impossible in Indian scenario, taking the consideration of MCI. Thanks to MCI. The next concern my is as you said.
I'll answer one by one.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Let me address your first concern.
Yes, sir.
In spite of all that, our 12th standard curriculum is as good as the pre-medical curriculum of US. We are traveling very fast. They might be say maybe 2-year-old, but I think understanding is almost going towards that. And once you do that, the performance of Indian graduates is far better than their American graduates. In fact, an average American prefers an Indian physician. So it's not a question, it's a hard work. And I think maturity is very reasonable. And we get talent. Look at the number of students appearing for NEET. And we get almost the cream of the society. The most talented students come to us. I think we shouldn't underestimate. They are as good as their Western counterparts. Other thing about the faculty, obviously, this is hard work. So if you see everywhere, all those slides of PBL, I said it is increased workload. But then you enjoy. And once we need to give a system. So we need to, as I rightly said, we should teach your student how to fish so that he eats the fish everywhere, every day, rather than giving him fish. Earlier we were just giving them fish. So I think I entirely agree. There is increased load for the teacher, but I think it's worth it. What's the third concern?
Sir, please excuse me. As you said, SDL involves hard work when the faculty is short. But I want to add one more thing. We are putting a session of SDL say for 2 hours, and ideally we should create a batch of, as you said, 6 to 8 students, and we will extrapolate to 20 students. And MBBS is example is 150 student. So to accommodate 150 student in 220 student group, we will have batch of 7 batches. And to conduct
35 students. No, PBL was for 35 students.
35. Okay, sir. 35 students. And so to conduct a session of 150 students at a time, we will require 5 to 6 tutors at a time. So, sir, at a time, 5 or 6 tutors are not available.
Satellite arrangement where you have multiple 10 or 10, 15 tables, 10 students putting everywhere, and then one teacher can accommodate and one of the group can present. So we need to work hard towards how to find out how to reach.
But sir,
so
only sir, I want to say only hard work is not the solution. Faculty should be in reasonable number. That is quite absent in the medical college, especially in the new medical colleges. And I want to add one more thing, sir. The faculty are not sufficiently trained in conducting SDL. And as you said, sir, in your session, tutors are supposed to be there to conduct a SDL session, and tutors are not allowed in revised basic course workshop in MCI workshop.
NCI allow only faculty of assistant professor and above, while the tutors are involved, especially in conducting SDL, while they are not allowed in MCI workshop. This is a contradictory.
So we should write down the MCI.
So tutors should be allowed by MCI because
I agree.
they are trained in SDL.
We need to utilize our platform. We have a MEU group. Write down an email to Dr. Paul, and he will respond.
Yes, sir. I have done it, sir.
I think this is our platform. This is our
Yes,
opinion. And then it's not Vedavakya Pramanam.
Yes, sir. And sir, for my next concern is to conduct a SDL session. Internet connection is a very prime importance thing. And in many of the medical college, internet connection is a de-dimming process in current scenario. In my college, internet connection, forget the internet connection, meeting the mobile connection network is so much difficult. So how can we conduct SDL session?
Now 4G is coming.
So sir, logistics are not proper.
Giga fiber is coming. So just wait.
Yes, sir. It is coming on September, I think.
Now, if you see the National Medical Commission bill, we'll be having next. There will be ranking of the medical college on the basis of performance of the next. So there will be inbuilt competition, and therefore, if they don't perform, they need to invest. Or government will invest.
So, sir, I want to say MCI should provide first the infrastructure, human resource and logistic, then he should implement SDL.
Anyway, thank you. Let us agree to disagree.
Yes, Dr. Rajesh Kumar Ahilwar. Then there were will it be possible to learn at your own pace in a medical school by Dr. Balaji?
Of course, it is possible to learn at your own pace. Irrespective of what we teach, they learn at their own pace. The problem is during evaluation, we hardly pay attention to the pace.
Yes, sir. Dr. Amrut Krishan Upadhyay, he says, thank you for this session. Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Bangalore and our medical colleges have banned mobiles and tablets in students' hands. Is this not a retrograde step?
So instead of banning mobile, you should ban the site.
Yes, sir.
So you write down to Vice Chancellor that this is a retrograde step.
But SDL doesn't mean only internet.
Then Dr. Dhruvendra Pandey, how we plan a self-directive learning in classrooms of community medicine?
It is far more richer in community medicine because community medicine encompasses everything. And I think we, as a professor of PSM, we need to explore because community medicine, in addition to all the clinical sides, has a lot of technology, a lot of other things available, and everything is SDL. Just put them on some point.
Yes, sir. Dr. BP Gautam, please speak. Dr. VP Gautam, can you speak? We can't hear you. You please write. Dr. M.V. Mahajan says there was LMS, for example, shown as Moodle. and there was something called Tyra. What is the difference? Okay.
So let him do SDL on both.
Yes, sir. Then,
as I said in beginning, this is a collective wisdom of 4 professors.
okay.
And actually, I just put them, and I haven't used Tyra. That's why I can't.
Okay. Dr. Kalanti TP is selling possible in today's medical colleges with faculty without any experience in obligations. Okay.
We discuss academics, not administration.
Yes. Rupali Baburdikar. For SDL, for students, standard textbooks are very much essential and important, and in addition, technology may help to clarify things further. So, is it not essential for students to be guided to use books more?
Now, actually, reading a book and reading an e-book, there's a vast difference. First thing is all e-books are automatically upgraded once you pay them once. Second thing, all e-books have URLs. They suppose some definition they don't know while reading. You just click, it goes to that topic, and it goes in seconds. Whereas physically you have to reach, and all those URLs, they go beyond book. And we are not well versed. I think students are more well versed with. As a net result, an online journal is far better than a printed journal.
Yes, sir. As per new curriculum, separate hours are allotted to small group discussions, tutorials, and early clinical exposure sessions, where lot of SDL occurs. How does SDL, then how SDL hours to be conducted? Is SDL same as e-learning?
E-learning is one of the component of SDL, because e-learning will help you for SDL. And that's why I wanted everybody to pay attention to my first video of Hassan Qureshi. We think they are learning. SDL, they will really learn.
Okay.
I think it has generated a lot of heat. So I want everybody who attended to put his points and do SDL and explore how it can be better. That's all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So I don't think there are any more.
I'm very happy there is a rich discussion and everybody participated. I think this video would be reasonably perfect for SDL.
Yes, sir. There is one, Dr. Prateek Trivedi. He says, sir, in medical college, use of students' own interested topic, is SDL possible with given time?
I think we are overestimating our own performance.
Yes, sir.
Let it leave to students. They will take care.
Okay.
Sanjay,
yes, sir.
I'll put my now. In addition, I'll put a PDF of all slides, because in order to make it in 45 minutes, I removed almost 1/3 slides.
Yes, sir.
Then they were rich knowledge. So what I'll do, I'll just put a PDF of whole process, so that remaining slides can be available to all professors.
Fine, sir. And any more questions you can just put on the MEU group.
In addition, I will give URL of all the videos.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So is it possible to ask one question, please?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, please.
Who is this?
Yeah. Sir, the case studies, sorry, the problem. This is Dr. Mahajan speaking, sir. Good evening, sir. Thanks a lot
Good evening.
for your pleasant talk. I have just one query with regards to your problem-based learning. Whenever we are giving the students a problem-based learning, is it possible for that problem-based case to be carried on throughout the first year, second year, and the third year? Or is it that in the first year itself, the students has to answer all the queries with regards to that problem? So what I meant by that, like you have given the problem,
We can have separate
so
problems.
maybe anything that is related to anatomy.
No. We
Sorry,
can have
sir?
separate problems for first year. The
Okay, so
curriculum.
you just keep it at different. So
At the end of the PBL, we need to find out what is the learning object. And depending on your learning object,
right, sir.
we need
Okay.
to find the PBL, and then we need to find out whether the learning issues that they were raised is directed towards our learning object. So learning objective of first MBBS will be different. Learning objective of second MBBS will be different.
Right, sir.
And the same case.
Right, sir. Absolutely. But I was just. Right, sir. So, but can we keep the same problem and we can continue so that the whole case study is in like a case book format for the student. So whenever the student refers, he has the whole thing with him, in what do you say? With him, like a ready reckoner or something like that? Or no, it should be in a separate format. This is just thought, sir.
It's good to combine all things together, but then basically all those places where PBL is introduced, there is nothing like first year, second year. They are all amalgamated.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Right, sir. Okay.
As well, I mentioned. Now we are shifting everywhere to scenario-based question papers. So teaching PBL,
right, sir. Yes, absolutely, sir.
Scenario-based question papers, which evaluate the creative thinking, construction, and all our papers are on recall.
Right. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Right. Fine, sir. Fine, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks. Absolutely pleasure talking to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. So next on 31st, Dr. Henal Shah has agreed to deliver a webinar on early clinical exposure. Dr. Henal Shah is from Mumbai, from KEM, and so I don't see any more hands. Super sir, would you like to make some closing remarks?
I think I'm very happy.
Yes.
411 people registered. There are 130 professors attended, and there are, I think, more than 30 to 35 questions being asked. So I think it has created a lot of heat, and we need to work together because this is something which is going to enrich the experience of medical students, and it will help them to make a better Indian doctor, what is called an Indian medical graduate. There is nothing West in this. SDL is everywhere. We will be doing SDL everywhere and every time. I think with these remarks, I want to end and thank everybody. Thanks, Sanjay, and thanks, HP.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.